video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a fashion illustration using a photograph or using various different photographs that you've kind of put together as a kind of digital collage to add in to a hand-drawn garment idea. I'm using Pixlr.com to do this, so it's kind of a free version of Photoshop. And yeah, so I'll kind of talk about the importance of showing your textile designs in context. It's quite a lot of, we spend a lot of time trying to show clients how our textile designs would be used in real life on the body or on an interior product, and these are one of the techniques that we will use for that. So you can see I've got an example up here. That's kind of the finished example. And I've used this image here to place on top of the garment. So that's just a photograph I've taken of some architecture. But you can use any type of image, even one that you've kind of built up into layers, or a repeat pattern as well. You can use those and place those over the top of your garments to show them in context. I've used this background image. Just move this a second. And I'll zoom out a little bit. It's just a hand-drawn, a drawing of a fashion garment. So it's a kind of jumper image, which I'm going to use. So first of all, to prepare the image, I need to isolate the jumper area. Now to do this, there's several ways that you can do this. I'm going to use the lasso tool, as I've covered in different videos. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm just going to click and drag around the edge. If I zoom in a little bit more, it's going to be easier for me to do, so we can start that again. So I'm going to go select, deselect. Now, I want to add a feathering to the edge, so if I click this feather option here, I'm just going to take that to 1 pixel, and that means it's just going to give us a softer edge. So if I just click and drag around her shoulder there, let go. Now I'm just adding in a small area because if I make a mistake, it's easy to go back. And then if I click Edit Undo to go back, I won't have kind of lost everything if I do it in stages. And what you want to do, if you do it in stages like this, you want to make sure that your mode here is set to Add to Selection. So to move down the image, I'm going to hold down the spacebar, click and drag, and I'm going to just click and drag around the arm there and back round to my start point to add to the selection. And again, so I'm just going to do this, finish this off quite quickly. Let's go all the way around, and I'm going to work on those edges afterwards more accurately. So I'm just going to do this quite quickly because you've seen the finished result, but when you do this, it's really important to be quite accurate with the edging. You can see that I'm quite zoomed in when I do this. That's really going to help with matching the selection tool edge to the edge of the area that I want to pick up. Now you can use different selection tools for this process. I'm using the lasso tool because I've actually got a Wacom tablet that I'm using, which is a graphics or Wacom tablet. You plug it into your computer and you can use it with the pen that comes with the stylus. You can use it instead of a mouse, so it's much easier to navigate and control. You can get these for about £50 from Amazon, quite cheap, and they last quite a long time. So when you get to the hair area, if you've got an area of hair, just zoom right in so that we can adjust that, going up to the ribbed area, back round. Now you might want to neaten this up a bit. Say for example you've made a mistake I can go back into my mode up there and set that to remove from selection. And then I'm going to go up from the hair and then down, back up to remove that area from the selection so it's a little bit more accurate. Once we've got that selected, we're going to copy and paste that onto a new layer. So if we go, zoom out a bit more, go to our layers panel here, I'm going to just create a new layer with this plus icon, and it's going to be an empty layer. And then I'm going to click back on my background layer because I'm going to copy from that layer onto layer 5. So edit copy, go to layer 5, edit paste, go to my main selection tool, my move tool, and move that down so that it matches exactly with the background image. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click on the background image and we want to adjust that so that the contrast is a little bit stronger. So if I go to adjustments, and let's have a look, let's use brightness and contrast. Oh, let's just turn these other layers off first. So if I go to my top layer here, if I want to make it invisible, see these little ticks here, I'm just going to click that tick. And then I'm going to go back to the background layer, and you want to unlock it, so I'm going to click the lock symbol, double click. Then we're going to go to image, brightness and contrast. So increase the contrast and reduce the brightness, just so that we've got, let's take that up a little bit. We just want it increased a little bit so that we can see more of those shadows. Hit apply. And then we're going to go to our image that we're going to put over it. Move that back over here. We're going to go to the main selection tool, so the Marquee Select tool. I'm going to click and drag to create an active selection, and then I'm just going to go edit copy. Be aware that when you click edit copy, you need to make sure that you've got the correct layer highlighted in the layers panel. If you've got multiple layers, you can merge them before you copy, and that will mean that it will copy all of the layers. And I've covered that in the previous video in this playlist. So go edit copy, go to our fashion background, edit paste. Let's pasted that in. Let's go to our arrow tool. We can rotate that, resize it to how we want it. Zoom out a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase the areas that are outside of her jumper. So in order to do this, I'm going to go to my layers panel and I'm going to right click on the photo layer, and I'm going to set the transparency. I'm just going to click and drag that slider so it's a lower transparency and I can see what's happening behind it, so I can see the edges of the jumper. And I can increase that afterwards. Just going to minimise this. If we go to our eraser tool, this is just one method that I can use to actually erase the area of the jumper that's outside of the jumper. So I'm going to click and drag that over, and you might want to just resize your the brush that you're using for the eraser tool. So if it comes up really large or too small, you can click up here, increase or decrease the size, as you can see. And for the softness, I suggest for this task you want it quite a hard brush. You can see that gives you quite a contrasting edge, but you want it kind of a little bit soft. So let's try 2 or 3%. There we go. See how that looks, and I need that to be a little bit smaller so it's easier to use. And I'm going to zoom in when I do this. It's going to be much easier Actually, let's increase the softness a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to go all the way around. So to speed things up, you could go around the edge with a small brush so that you are being really accurate. You can see there's a little bit of a lag time on this, but you might want to just speed up the video. So yeah, I'm going to go around this edge. I'm going to remove the area that's sitting outside of the jumper. And then when you come to remove the rest of it, on this edge, I can zoom out and it's just much quicker if I make my brush a bit bigger. I can remove it this way and I know where that edge is. So let's get rid of that. Another method that I can use, if I go to my lasso tool, I can click and drag just roughly outside of the edge of the jumper, and then I can just cut that. So edit, let's go back. Make sure the mode is set to new selection. Roughly go around the edge of the jumper, and edit and cut. Zoom back in and just neaten up those edges. Make this a bit smaller. There we go, and we're just going to go in with the lasso tool and just remove that hair area there. And this area here. Just go edit, cut. Same over here. Edit, cut. There we go. Could be a bit neater, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to leave it. As you can see, it's looking like it's roughly inside of her jumper now. So I'm going to increase the transparency on this. Take that up again. You want to leave it a little bit lower just so that you can see some of the shadows beneath. And what we're going to do, because we already went around the jumper at the start, we're going to click and drag and move that so it sits above the photo layer. And we're going to turn it back on using that tick box there. And then if I go to my move tool there, I'm just going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard just to nudge that over. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the jumper layer and set the blending mode here to multiply. And then we're going to increase the brightness and contrast. So you should get more of a shadow appearing on that jumper layer, just so that you can see some more of those shadows coming through. And then hit apply. So that's us done. If you like this video, click like please, and subscribe for more fashion and textile videos. In the next tutorial, I'm going to be going through how to combine all of your elements that you've created and your textile design ideas and your visualizations. We're going to create them on as a design layout on a page. Thanks very much.